Hello everyone, I'm FC and this is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing you guys another transfer daily video. But before I start the video, I've got some extremely sad news to break. Dermot Drummy, our ex-Chelsea youth team manager, unfortunately passed away last night. It's such a massive loss to lose such a massive part of Chelsea Football Club. He was instrumental in kickstarting the youth dominance. He won our first youth cup in 49 years. He got us to our first European Cup final in the youth tournaments, and he was instrumental in kickstarting a lot of our young players' careers, such as your Lewis Bakers, Ruben Loftus-Cheeks, Jeremy Bogers, and much more. I'd like to wish condolences to his family, and I know you'll all join me in wishing that he rests in peace. In this Transfer Daily video, I'm going to be talking about David Luiz's potential move to Real Madrid in January. I'm going to be talking about Aubameyang and his £65 million link to Chelsea in January. I'm going to be talking about Manolo finally moving to Monaco, making it official. And I'm going to end the video talking about a young 17-year-old German sensation from the Bundesliga and his links to Chelsea. Starting with David Luiz. As reported by Mohamed Bouafsi, a guy that has a lot of credible links, he broke a lot of stories regarding Bakayoko during the summer. RMC Sports state that David Luiz is interested in a move to Real Madrid, and allegedly Real Madrid are interested in bringing Luiz to the Bernabeu. The story is already stating that they're potentially discussing a move, but is there more to the story? Now, I have done a previous video really discussing what really went down between Conte and David Luiz, so that's going to be on the card on the top right, so make sure you click on that if you want the full lowdown on what happens. Another factor is that it looks like Luiz has lost his place to Christensen in the first team, and this really isn't good for David Luiz, because even though he isn't necessarily in the Brazil setup, he still has aspirations of making it into the squad for the World Cup next year. Now, this is where I'm going to start hypothesizing, would this move really make sense and would it really happen? Well, we do know that David Luiz is 30 years old, and if he was potentially to move, this could be the final big move that Luiz will command. And hypothetically again, Rina might be thinking, well, if Luiz was to leave, I could command a lot of money. Why? Because again, he has a lot of years on his contract left, and it's a January transfer market, so this is a part of the window where fees do tend to be a bit more inflated. And we know that Chelsea's policy that once you reach 30 years old, you only get to sign 1-year extensions. Luiz potentially could be thinking, if Real Madrid do make a move for me, I'm going to get a few more years on my contract, and this could be my final big payoff before I get to the years where my career is ending. Chelsea do have Zuma out on loan as well, so they might be thinking there's already a replacement for him, as well as having Rudiger in the team, who is seen as the German David Luiz. For now, this is only a rumour, there isn't anything substantial behind the story, but it's no surprise to me that there are some reports being leaked in regards to the tension between Luiz and Conte. In my opinion, I hope it doesn't happen. I really feel that David Luiz has a lot to offer this club, and I really think he can help in terms of Christensen's development. Now with Christensen, I think personally, once he naturally gets bigger in the next 2 to 3 years, and if he can learn how to kickstart some more attacking moves and play some more adventurous passes, I really think this guy will be the most complete defender in the world. And I think that it's natural for players such as David Luiz to really teach and offer Christensen some new things. And I think that David Luiz really could help to mentor Christensen in these regards, and I think that Christensen could really benefit from that. Now moving on to the next story, and that's reports linking Aubameyang to Chelsea in the January transfer window. Now there's been a lot of reports coming out from Germany. For example, Aubameyang allegedly has a lot of indiscipline happening behind the scenes at the club. I'm saying allegedly because a lot of times the media don't really know what they're talking about, and they like to over-inflate things. Now the straw that's broken the camel's back is the fact that Aubameyang got sent off in the derby against Schalke over the weekend. Aubameyang did score a goal and he did create 2 assists in that game, but then did get a second yellow card in the second half. Now, for some reason, I don't understand personally why that means he's a bad egg all of a sudden and that he's got issues happening. I mean, it was a derby, and of course Aubameyang is going to try his hardest to help Dortmund win the game. So unfortunately he did pick up his second yellow card, but I don't really think that reflects on his character. And I'm not the only one that shares that belief. Dortmund's CEO, Watzke, came out himself saying that he feels that the media are being very harsh towards Aubameyang, and that we have to remember this guy has bailed us out numerous times. Something maybe that's not necessarily false is the fact that Aubameyang was holding out for a move to Real Madrid, and that's the reason why he actually stayed at Dortmund in the end. There were reports from China which he was tempted by because of the ridiculous fees they were going to give him, so it's natural for players that don't get a move when they want to have their mind swayed a tiny bit. Now, reports are coming out that Dortmund have had enough and that they're looking to cash in on Aubameyang, especially due to the transfer fee they can command from him. Now, in my opinion, do I think it's impossible for Real Madrid to look into him? I don't think so. They're not firing at this moment in time up front. Benzema's form has really dropped a lot, and they could see Aubameyang as a replacement for him. Chelsea have been linked with Aubameyang beforehand, and reports are saying that they could potentially be looking at him again this January. Now, I'm thinking hypothetically, how could this really work if Aubameyang was to join Chelsea? And I think the obvious thing is that we would play a 3-4-3. Now, with Aubameyang, he is very versatile with this play. He can collect the ball out wide, on the right, on the left. He can drop deep, blistering pace on the counter-attack. Very good finishing. I think he's a bit underrated when it comes to his finishing ability. Plus, he can hold the ball up as well. With the system we use with the front three, it is a front three. We don't really use wingers because they do tend to receive the ball in the half spaces. I think potentially it could work, especially because Hazard is like the glue. With him dropping deeper, that could create space for Aubameyang to run into. Morata is very adaptable when it comes to this style of play as well, as he's able to drop deeper to link up the play, as well as being the main focal point up front. I feel that if this was to work, we'd have to play a very fluid front three, and that would mean that we'd have to play a more expansive style of football. I think potentially it could work if it ever did come to fruition. But in this moment in time, there's no substantial reports again really linking Aubameyang with a move to the Premier League. But in my personal opinion, especially knowing how the transfer window works a lot, it's no surprise to me that his agent, which is his brother, is potentially letting clubs know that his client could be available in the January window or for next summer. It's just part and parcel of how the industry works when it comes to transfers, so don't really be surprised by that, and don't necessarily think every rumour you hear is just nonsensical. There's always something small to it. That could be down to clubs scouting a player from years ago, or even just holding discussions with agents just to try and get a vibe and feel of who's available and who's not. Moving on to the third story, and that is Manolo officially joining Monaco. Now again, you guys, I've done a lot of videos regarding the board and Manolo, so they are going to be linked in the card in the top right corner. So if you really want to get the lowdown on everything that's happened, I suggest you watch it because it's the most in-depth report you're going to see, in my personal opinion. There's nothing out there that's really got behind the scenes or even really knows what really happens. And of course, to my surprise, there's still fans thinking that Manolo offered nothing to the club, which is nonsensical, and really the fact that he left Chelsea to join Monaco really shows you everything really that's happening behind the scenes at the club. Now, Manolo is joining a club where it does really complement his philosophy on football. For example, Monaco recently have been flooding a lot of young players into the team, and they've been sold for millions later on. Now, Manolo has brought in talent equally as good or not even better than them, but with how Chelsea is in their structures in terms of how to break into the first team, it's much harder for those youngsters to get chances, and unfortunately they can become slaves to the loan army. Now, Manolo joining a Monaco team where they have a unified philosophy and identity in terms of how the club's going to be run could make a lot of sense, and I'm not going to be surprised to see Manolo reintroduce a loan style army to Monaco, and I really feel that that would be quite interesting to see because we could really see the full ambition of what the loan army was supposed to be. And I think that with a club like Monaco that will use young players from the loan army to fill positions, it'd be quite interesting to see how they can really sustain it over the many years to come. Manolo introduced a revolutionary data analytics scheme to the club, and that really helped in terms of deciding what players to buy. And in my personal opinion, the amount of top class players he's bought has far outweighed some of the bad signings that have been made. And honestly, in my opinion, the reason why bad signings were made in the first place was because we were looking for players, unfortunately, because we sold players and got rid of players that weren't supposed to leave. I'm thinking of the likes of your Felipe Luiz's, your Salah's, your Kevin De Bruyne's, your Lukaku's. All of these players were bought for the now and for the future. Now, all of a sudden, when they leave, when it's unexpected, now you're a slave to the market in a way, because then your options are only as good as what's available on the market. Now, when Felipe Luiz left and we signed Babarakman, for example, can we really say that was a bad signing? And looking at the market during that year, what left backs were really available? The only one we were really linked with was Luke Shaw, and he went to Manchester United for nearly 27 million and signed a 140,000 a week contract, when he was 17, 18 years old. So in my surprise, Chelsea were never ever gonna make those demands. So you can't be criticised for things like that. And I'm sorry, when it comes to players like your Michael Hectors and your Papa Djiboutis, they were there for the loan army. I don't understand why people can't understand that point. It does get me quite angry, I have to admit. Papa Djibouti, the guy flipped him. Think about it, he was signed for 2 million. He goes on loan in winter to Werder Bremen, where they're paying the loan wages and the loan fee. He comes back and then he signs for Sunderland for £8 million. Now, we basically made nearly £9.5 million on a guy that cost us £2 million. That's an amazing flip because Papa Djibouti isn't worth 10 million and we got that fee for him. If anything, the real issues came at the club because unfortunately with the managers we do have, they don't tend to look towards the youth that we do have. So it's always going to really limit what we can do. And it really shows you how strong this struggle is with the likes of your De Bruyne's, Salah's and Lukaku's left for nearly nothing. And look at them now, some of the best players in the Premier League. And they were targets that Manolo wanted. All I can say is good luck to the future, and I'm sure that it's going to show a lot of people wrong, and it's going to show a lot of people that really you don't really know what you're talking about. Now, ending on the final story, we are being linked with a young German sensation called Fearn. Now he's a 17-year-old striker playing for Hamburg. He scored 3 goals in his last 2 appearances and he's just starting to make a name for himself. There have been reports by Chelsea stating that we're trying to make a bid for him and that Conte wants to bring him in. And already the minute I heard Conte wants to bring a player in, I knew that I can't take this report seriously because it's not Conte's job to decide who's coming in or not. He doesn't have any say when it comes to that mostly. And I can't imagine Conte watching Hamburg play to see a 17-year-old striker that he isn't going to use in his first team. Now, Arp's agent has come out to state that there are no truths to this story, but in my opinion, I feel that maybe he might have really put the seed out there. Think about it like this. You're a football agent. Of course, you want to let potential clients know that your player is available and you really want to try and garner that buzz for him because he could potentially move to a much better team in the future. So to me, this report is just like a part and parcel job for a football agent. But anyway, you guys, that's going to end today's Transfer Daily video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and please, if you haven't pressed the bell notification sign, press that. I'm showing it right here. Press that and stay notified to all things Blue Lions TV. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to have the match preview out tomorrow for the Swansea game, and then later tomorrow night I'm going to have the match review for our game against Swansea. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.